8 o'clock. Whoa, what do we got here? I haven't seen that before. All right, no, we're okay. Says I'm live. Chat is abled. And I have a new phone. I just got a new phone. My old phone. Wow. My old phone started having this little thing on the bottom that said no connection. And it would happen about 20% of the time. And then it went to like 30% of the time. Then 40, 50, 60. And then finally, for about the last 10 days, no connection. So I just haven't had a phone. And I could go into town and I could get another one, but I was contemplating not getting another phone. But if I did that, then I had somebody here this weekend, actually, that was camping here that said, I really appreciate when you make videos of the stuff that you're doing. And so I thought of that, and I thought there would be no more videos if I didn't have a phone. Suppose I could borrow Jill's phone, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So I did it. I went in and I told them, and they said, oh, I think we can put a new SIM card in it, whatever that is. And it had a problem. Nobody in the store had ever seen it. And one guy seemed to be a real expert, and he had never seen it. So I said, just give me another phone. Just give me another phone. I want to start over again. And this phone, I had them just have the same phone number, but that's it. They didn't transfer everything over. I've had like 3 of these now. And every time there's something that transferred from the first one to the second one to the third one. And I have no memory on them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can hand it to all kinds of people and they say, oh, I know how to fix that. And they can never get it fixed. So this one, I'm starting over. So all my phone numbers, I sat down and I'm writing them down with a pen. And then I'm going to keep that in case this thing buys the farm, and then I'll have everybody's phone number. Otherwise, I would never have any of that stuff. So anyway, I need to take a quick break here. I got to go get something real quick, and I will be back. But just give me, 30 seconds to run into the other room. 30 seconds. Okay. I'm back. Okay. The door's been open all day back here, and there's a few little problems flying around. And, it just really bugs me when they're constantly and I can't get them. So now that I have this, they'll probably all go away and they won't bother me. It's kind of like that when I'm going to sit in. If I'm going to watch TV at night, you can't sit down there without a fly swatter. There'll be one fly that will come in, and I know I'm being negative. I shouldn't. I had an absolutely beautiful day today. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, DeClerc's with us, and Crunchy Mama's with us. Let me see what date the date is. It's September 6th, Tuesday, 2022. And for your information, I have an iPhone 13, so I am definitely cooler than the majority of yous. Definitely cooler. My 13-year-old said, wow, a 13. Whew. Wow, that's new. It's a 13 Pro because I am a professional. But anyway, I had just a whale of a day. I've been having some really good days lately. Big news. I have a new grandson. His name is Ronan. I did tell you guys that. But but maybe this crowd didn't hear it. He was born a week ago last Monday. And I held him Sunday. All right. So nice little guy, 7 pounds and 9 ounces. Seems like a pretty good little guy, you know. Great. So that's 3 grandchildren for me, 2 boys and 1 girl. And my other grandkids were really pretty thrilled about it for about 30 seconds. And then they were just like not thrilled. So that was kind of neat. That was Sunday. Monday, holiday. We had some people staying. Dave and Sonia Boone were staying. And I think we're going to interview them on Thursday. And they're homesteaders, but they also have a homesteading channel that's called Off Grid with Dave and Sonia. I think, yes, Off Grid with Dave and Sonia. I haven't checked it out yet. I will, but I just haven't. I have been pretty busy lately. We did not butcher chickens today, so that was kind of nice. We will be butchering chickens Friday. So I had the most wonderful day. I got home from that whole getting a new phone thing. They didn't open till 10. So we didn't get home until noon, and then had lunch, and I didn't make it outside to do what I was doing until about 2:30. And I have today, it was probably touched 80. Tomorrow's going to be like 83, and the next day going to be 85. And then it's going to go into September. So maybe this is like Indian summer or Native American summer. Oh, maybe am I going to get 2 here, baby? Yeah, it's 2. So I was cutting hay next door, and I had no idea there was that much hay over there. I had thought to myself, well, I don't really need it. Why don't I just leave it, and I can build fences instead and graze the cattle over there. But I went over, and I actually needed to put a new belt on the hay bind. It's got a 2-belt system. I broke one of them, and I used it with 1 belt on my first cutting. And if I left it until next summer over winter to change that belt, I would think about it every single day. Every day. And I have been thinking about it since my first cutting every single day. Like, I need to change that belt. And I have the belts. I actually got spares. So anyway, I got it changed, and I went out. I started cutting. I got interrupted by last Friday, CB Smith. You guys don't know him. He's not a homesteader. And Andy Wigston, you've heard me mention his name. Andrew was a youth pastor at a camp that I used to work at in probably 92. He was there 92 and 93, probably, something like that. And CB Smith was just a guy that lived in the neighborhood and wound up working at this. He was ex-Air Force, but he's older than me. He's a Vietnam veteran. And me and him have been friends now for 30 years. And he still lives in northern Maine. That was where Loring Air Force Base was. And Andy lives on Prince Edward Island, Andrew. And I'm over there cutting hay, and Kyle comes over, and he says, hey, maybe you could come over the house now. We're going to visit for a little while. Mom would probably like you to come over. I said, nah, I'm cutting hay. I just got started, man. I want to finish this. Well, no, he says, why don't you come on over? We're going to have dinner soon. So I'm like, what's the matter with you? He says, yeah, you better just come over. And I said, all right. I'll be over in a minute. And he says, no, why don't you jump in with me. We'll go over. Okay. We drive over to the farm, and there's these 2 Harley Davidsons sitting out on the road, and two these two old guys standing out there like, oh man, I don't need this now. They're broken down. They're going to want to borrow tools or get a ride someplace or something. And Kyle pulls right up alongside of them. And it's CB Smith and Andrew Wigston. And they had driven out here on their Harleys from Andy came from Prince Edward Island and CB came from Easton or Caribou, Maine. So long trip, 1,000 miles at least, I would reckon. Probably 1,200 miles. And, they just came to see me. They just came to see me. So it's one of the nicest things that anybody's done, to come all that way just to see me. And we sat at the fire that night and just had a really good time talking about old times. And then Sieb had to leave in the morning. He only got to stay over one night, and then he had to leave in the morning. But Andrew stayed until Saturday. Yeah, he stayed overnight. So we got to have some good quality time. His motorcycle broke down. But anyway, we got him going. And so he should be home by now. But anyway, that was my weekend. And then I rolled into today, and I was cutting hay today. Just beautiful day. Just beautiful. All my equipment was running good. Who would drive 1,000+ miles to see you? That's a good one, Lone. That's a good one. Yep, that's a good one, buddy. You'll be back. I have a feeling you'll be back. I think we're working on a bigger program, I believe. So I felt really special over that whole thing. And I had a good day today. I cut hay until 6:45, and I still have a little bit more to do tomorrow, but everything's going smooth. I'm going to have a nice day tomorrow, nice day the next day, nice day the next day. Only a crazy person would do such a thing. Yeah, Sean, only a crazy person. But you guys didn't just come to see me. I mean, at least that didn't register in my mind. There was other reasons, right? And I just happened to be here. That's the way I processed it. But these guys, they didn't care about the farm. They didn't care about any of that stuff. Oh, where are the cows? They're over there. Okay, I can find it. I'm not into cows. But, okay. So anyway, let's just leave that alone. All right. So we got a subject for tonight. And I really like the way this is going. I really do. Because the subjects in the past have been subjects that I think up, and then I think up the answers to them. And it doesn't create the dynamic that this does, where Joe and Jill come up with them, or you guys send them in. And then the day of the show, Tuesday, I get the sheet. And then I am required by Jill to make some annotations on here, because she wants to use those annotations to do some advertising about what the show is going to be about. So sidebar. Oh yes, P.S. We went from 5 days a week down to 1 day a week, like this, just like this, and then the Thursday night is the interview, which is great. But I almost feel like I could do 2 nights like this, the Tuesday night show. I really like this show. I really enjoy doing this. I'm not doing this under duress. No one is twisting my arm to do this. I like doing this. I do like doing this. It's just like when I do classes, I look forward to doing classes. I love doing classes. I can't wait until this season comes on. I really can't. We had a cancellation, by the way. The New York class is not going to happen. We had a very late cancellation. And so we do have a gap in the schedule. It was supposed to be on October 19th, on or about, something like that, October, in that area. And so possibly there could be a gap, possibly. We're kind of changing the way we do things as far as on the road goes. And, late cancellations like that are not good because now I have a gap in my schedule, So I don't think we're going to allow that to happen the way we're going to proceed. It will not be able to happen. So, yeah, that's that. If anybody has any ideas or would like to do a class at their place, there's going to be criteria too in order for us to do that. I know it's late. Could you get 16 people together, all willing to actually pay money to learn how to butcher a pig in that short a period of time? Could a person do that? I don't know. But we're definitely doing the clerics. Definitely, that is a go. And we're definitely going to do the class here or two. So, and then we'll do the charcuterie class or two here. We did that last year and it worked out really well. So anyway, tonight's subject is 5 reasons you'll hate homesteading. And it actually gave me kind of a chuckle because it's stuff we've covered before, but now we get to kind of expound on it. And really what it comes down to is when you hate something, it's because you're not prepared to do it. And then you have problems along the way. And the problems hit you out of nowhere. They out of nowhere because you don't know what you're doing. USA Patriots with it? With us, I'm sorry. Only 5. Yeah, well, we're just going to do 5 reasons you'll hate homesteading. And then, there's a lot of rabbit trails to go from there. And we've got all the time we need tonight. A couple of things that are coming down the pike that it might be of interest to use are I am going to be on the Mike Adams show. He's going to interview me. He's called the Health Ranger. Dun, 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 dun. And I met him a long time ago before he was famous. And then the other day when I was butchering chickens, I thought of something and I was like, hey, that's the one guy. I mean, it sounds a bit crazy, but that's the one guy that would, at least he'd listen to me and maybe be able to fill in the blanks on it. So I sent him a message and he was like, hey, we got to do an interview. This is cool. So he's a good interviewer. He's a pretty nice guy as well. And then I'm going to be on this month, I'm going to be on the Jack Spirko show. And I used to listen to Jack a long time ago. He's a podcaster out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I believe. And Joe has contacted him and thought it would be a great idea. And he remembered us from long ago. And so that should be a kind of a fun interview as well. 3. Oh, I just wounded him. All right, he'll be back. So that's coming. And I'm looking forward to both of those interviews because those are interesting, very interesting peoples. Very interesting peoples. Okay, so that's about it. So let's talk about 5 reasons you'll hate homesteading. I went through and I made a list and I got as far as 4. Start with number 1. You're not taking care of your creature comforts. And I think I can expound on this in a good way, in a really good way. I speak from experience. So anything that you're doing, whether it's fixing equipment or putting gas on airplanes or loading bombs on planes or sitting on listening posts or listening to generators run and waiting to put gas in them, anything that you're doing, and those are some of the things that I did when I was in the service. A lot of times we'd be places that would be really uncomfortable, like wind, rain, cold, snow, all that stuff that I could complain about. And what made the day bad was when you were cold the whole day. So let's say that you got wet first thing in the morning, and your feet are wet, and your legs are wet, and then the wind's blowing on you, and you never did get dry. By the time the end of the shift comes around, you're grumpy, and not only just grumpy, you're downright nasty, and you can get yourself in trouble by saying the wrong thing. And I know, because I did, because I was just so tired, cold, wet, unfed, all those things. And I used to feel like, suck it up, don't be a wuss. Just get out there and do it. Don't worry about your wet feet. What are you, a wuss? And it wasn't until I became like middle management that I was instructed by people smarter than me that, hey, you got to take care of your people. You might be able to go like that, but they can't. You get those guys in and get some clean boots on them or dry boots on them. Do not push them like that, because then they will make mistakes. And a mistake leads to a 12-hour shift. A 12-hour shift leads to tools getting lost. And tools getting lost leads to a 16-hour shift. And then you're wet. And then people get in fist fights or call each other names. And then you got to be to work, in a few hours, and people are still angry at each other. And that can carry over day after day after day. So creature comforts are things like sleeping in a warm spot. If we can get you in a place where it's quiet too, to sleep, so you sleep restfully, that would be a good idea too. Good food. So what am I talking about here? I'm talking about homesteading. I'm talking, you move to a piece of property, you're all excited, you're thinking about what it's going to be like 5 years from now, and you're just so excited that you're going to just go and go and go and go. And let's say your spouse is kind of like, gee, it's been like months since we kissed during the day. And it's like, well, I've been busy with the farm, or when's the last time you sat and talked to me at dinner time? Well, I get home from work and I gotta go out and get things done, because the farm and all that, and the homestead and all that stuff. And you put creature comforts on the back burner, and it's all about the farm. And I am here to tell you that you, as the prime mover, if you're me, you might be like, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Well, what about them? What about your staff? What about your family, your spouse? And I made that mistake more than once. And I'm here to tell you, you don't want to do that. Because if your spouse is in a good mood and happy and well rested and well fed and paying attention to them and taking her out to eat once in a while, pulling her shoes down off of the top shelf where she can't reach them, let her put them on, and go out a little bit, things go a lot better. Because the homestead, it's not about a goal of, well, we got to get all this stuff in place and then we'll be happy. No, you got to be happy along the way. You got to be happy along the way. And I wasn't always like that. I got to get this hay cut. Don't anybody talk to me. I don't want lunch. Leave me alone. Just let me cut my hay, and then something would break. And then I say something unkind to somebody, and, you know, it, no, no, no. Today I was cutting hay, and I'm to the point now where I know how many cows I want to have. I meet that. And if I cut extra, I cut extra. But if something goes wrong, like today, I had a phone call. I had a gal call me today that I have not talked to in over 5 years. And she called me. I was on the road driving, and had everybody with me, and I couldn't really talk. She was on her way to a funeral and stuff. And she said, "No, I just want to catch up a little bit." Oh, all right. And so I told her I'd call her after 6. And I would have liked to just keep cutting hay. But then I said, wait a minute. No. She needs something. Go make the phone call. So I shut the tractor off. It'll be there tomorrow, right? It'll be there tomorrow. And if something goes wrong and the hay doesn't get cut, oh well, this is about life, our life on the homestead. You got to remember that you want to have fun along the way. You don't want it to be, you ever see that movie, Vacation, Chevy Chase and whoever, but they're going on vacation, and they're all along the way, they're trying to have fun. They're singing tunes, and they're, meeting with the in-laws and stuff. All along the way, they're trying to have fun, but they're not having fun. And at one point, the wife says, "Oh, why don't we just, the car broke down. Aunt Edna died. Clark gave all of his money to cousin Eddie. They were just having a real rough time. The dog, he tied the dog to the bumper and forgot the dog was there and drove off with the dog on there. Got pulled over by a cop, and the cop said, if I weren't wearing this uniform, I would split your skull with the butt of this revolver before you could say police brutality." Anyway, the wife says, let's just go home. Let's just leave the car here, sell it, and fly home and just go home. And Clark Griswold says, this is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. And so he goes to the store, he gets a gun. And, it can get like that. It really can. Not the gun part of it, probably. But angry words and not taking care of creature comforts. Like if I work too hard and then I don't get anything to eat, and then at midnight I stuff something down just because I'm starving, well, then I have this cesspool in my stomach that's not doing what it should while I'm sleeping. I wake up in the morning and it's like, what did I do? Swallow a compost pile? So you really have to set some limits in your homesteading operation. And honestly, not that I did this, I'm just learning to do this now. Honestly, though, when you set those limits, you're more effective for the 8 hours that you're working. Let's say that you work an 8-hour shift. Let's say you work, or 10. I'm more comfortable with about a 10. I kind of feel, or 12, I'd say. I feel very comfortable with a 6 in the morning, and then lunch, chill out for a little while. If I need to close my eyes for a minute, I do, and then knock down another, almost like a split shift. And I don't do it every day, but I can do that and still, not be so tired that I can't even sleep. I'm fine with that. I do pretty well with that at this point in my life. There was a time when I would have to do like 2 8s. I really couldn't. I was just driven, and that wasn't doing anybody any good. And then when I get tired, I'd slam coffee, and you don't want to do that. I'm not saying that you don't want to drink coffee, but you just don't want to push it so hard that things, you make stupid mistakes. I'm in my 18th year of cutting hay. I've had this hay bine a long time, and I've replaced a lot of parts on this hay bine. And every time it's because I was rushing. Every time. And it's not like I've totally got this under control. I don't. Let's see. What day was it? It was yesterday. I had my hay raked. I had it in rows. There was storm clouds on the horizon. I went over there and I checked it, and it was, let's see, what day was that? That was the day that Dave and Sonia got here. So I think that was, let's see, it was Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it was Saturday afternoon. Storm clouds on the horizon. The hay was raked, and I went over there and I started baling it, and I feel a little bit of rain hit me. I'm like, oh no. Because when you have hay that you've raked, puffed it up, it's dry. Oh yeah, okay, it was Saturday. Yeah, okay. And Debbie's with us too. Debbie, I got a new phone. I haven't had a phone to look at anything that you've sent me in at least 3 weeks. Okay. And then I start rushing, right? And it's kind of spitting a little bit, right? I'm getting it here and there. And I'm like, and even at one point, Dave comes over and says, do you want some help? And I about, no, leave me alone. It's like a fanatic. I have to get this raked, because when it's all puffed up and it gets rained on, it turns to mush. And I didn't yell at him, but I said, no, it's one man job. I'll be okay. And so I start rushing, and I plug the baler, and I start rushing again. I plug the baler again. So I get to a certain point. I've got everything that I raked done. It wasn't a whole lot, but I was going to lose it if it got rained on, and I actually got it picked up yesterday and put underneath the lean-to. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's why you will hate homesteading, is if you don't take care of creature comforts, and that means getting your rest. Make sure you have the right clothes. They really make a big difference. If I go outside, like today, I went into town. I had a dark green shirt on, my Baker's Green Acres shirt. I like to wear that around town because people say, "Oh, no, that's what I put on when I got up." And then when I got home, I was going to have to cut hay. I can't wear that, because I know if I do, like, I'll go out the door and I'll say, I don't have time to change my shirt. You better make time to change that shirt, because you go out the door with a dark colored shirt on and you're working in the sun, you're going to roast. And then you get used to it. You don't want to get used to that. You want to take care of yourself. And this is from somebody that I've pushed and abused and my whole life, but not now. And I can see, I'll probably still do it a little bit, but I can see what you guys want to do. And I do what I say, not what I do. That's basically what I'm saying. You want to take care of your creature comforts, the right shoes, all that stuff. You want to have steel toes on if you can when you're doing all this stuff. You want safety glasses for sure. I mean, that makes sense. It makes sense. You want to take care of your creature comforts. Get your rest. Eat. Okay. Number 2. You will hate. A lot of this has to do with being impatient. You will hate homesteading if you spend money that you don't have. You will hate anything if you spend money that you don't have. And how do you do that? Credit cards. Yeah. Let's spend some money that we don't have. So next month when we get our paycheck, we have to pay on what we spent last month. And this month we might have needs that are serious. And I think I watched a guy who is literally a millionaire, tens of millions of dollars. This guy was a friend of mine for a while. Um, I haven't seen him in years, but he came to this farm and liked what he saw. He had just sold an insurance business that was just crazy. I mean, it was big insurance business, and he was. But I think he came from a rich. He'd been rich all of his life. Had tons of money all of his life, and decided I'm going to put together a farm. And he bought a piece of land and then started just call a contract, put up a barn there, do that there, and then later on, 2 years down the road, it was like, we shouldn't have put the barn over there. It's like there's a big puddle there, or whatever. And when I went to his place, he at one time wanted to hire me to manage it. I think what he wanted really was the mystique of Baker's Green Acres, because this is a magical place. But when I went there, it was like it was already put together, and a lot of the builds were knee-jerk builds, like, oh well, we need a pole barn, so build it over there. And the place was just not put together right. It didn't flow. I never did get a good feeling from the place. So I think a lot of times, well, what would I do if I came into a ton of cash? Um, I think at this point I know where things should go. Some things, but not everything. I mean, it is the type of place that you want to put together. I think anyway, a place that you want to live, a place that you want to entertain your other humans, your humans, I guess, your humans. It needs to be put together for me anyway. I'm not a master um, homestead designer, although maybe I do have some things going for me now after all this time. It needs to be put together slower, and it's a piece at a time. So having a ton of money can you can make a ton of mistakes too. I've moved a lot of fence lines, and most of the time that just requires elbow grease and aggravation. So I don't think it's a good idea to spend money that you don't have. That's just a rule of thumb. Do I need to say anything more about that? Yeah, I do. Um, Conversely, right? So you could do this. You could spend a bunch of money that you don't have. Tell you what, why don't you do this? Instead of spending money for this month that you have that is dedicated to go into what you want to do this. Cut it in half. Well, then I can't build that entire fence line. You'll get it next month. Take that half and put it here and hold on to it. Next month, do the same thing. Next month, do the same thing. Do that for a while, because one of these days, the transmission in the truck's going to go out. And if you're living too close, it could cause you some real problems. It could cause you to go into debt, more debt, and that's no good. All right. So when you're building your homestead, it's like building a business. It is building a business, and you have to build it smart. And I don't think I really want to give too much advice here about when's the right time to use your credit, as opposed to let's do everything in cash for now. I don't think I want to do that. I haven't been real big on using my credit. I use it for small things, and then it gets paid back very rapidly. But big things, we haven't done that. We've built it as we were able to afford it. And, that's about all the time that I have. I have more raw materials for building things than I have time to do it. So, but I'm getting to the point where once the hay's done, it's all in. Then it's like, I'm ready. And we have all the way to November 1st to really tackle some projects that need to be done around here. Ones that I just can't wait to do, like my new chicken house. I just can't wait to do it. Okay, so spending money that you don't have. Don't do that. Here's one. You're hauling water. I know people that have no water on their property, but they got a really good deal on it. And so when they go there, they have to haul water with them. What do you think that's going to look like when you have livestock? What is that going to look like when you have livestock? Cattle, 10 gallons a day. Pigs, about 4 gallons a day. So what is that going to look like? And where are you going to get that? The reason I bring that up is because it's one of those things that you don't realize how much water that you go through. And you realize that you're out of water at the most inopportune times. And then handling your water in the wintertime becomes really tough. I mean, it can be done, but it becomes a little tougher than it should be. Okay, so that's just my number 3, hauling water. So if you're putting together a homestead and you don't want to be hating it, make sure you got water on the property. And if I were going to put together another homestead someplace, that would be on my top 5 things that I'm looking for on that property. If I got there, beautiful, wow, look at these trees, and the house is so nice, and that. Yeah, the problem is there's no water here, though. They've tried putting down wells for years, and there's nothing. They've gone down 1,000 feet, nothing. It would be like, shoop. I would check that one off and split. At this point in my life, I would. I mean, if I was going to have cattle and I was going to have, I guess the only way that would work, I would really have to be a very inexpensive piece of property, that you could do something with, because not having water is tough. But I realize some parts of the country, they have cisterns and they collect all their rainwater and things like that. I realize that. But that is a way that you can really dislike what you're doing, is if you don't have water. All right, number 4. Number 4 is a philosophical item. All right, and this is, I've talked with you guys about this before. Your expectations are too high. Right now, think about that. On one hand, okay, you're telling us that we should change our socks and don't push ourselves too hard. But then on the other hand, you're saying our expectations are too high. Well, you can spend a couple of weeks sleeping on a cot, but take a little time and make sure you're not getting rained on and you've got a good sleeping bag so it's not cold. Do that first. Like, well, I don't have the money for it. Well, if you don't have the money for a sleeping bag, then you certainly don't have money to start fencing. Cover the creature comforts first, right? But then what about your expectations? You're saying, aim lower? No, aim high, but be willing to live with less. What do I mean by that? How do I put that? I am not exactly a minimalist, but yeah, I think I am. I'm a practicing minimalist, but I'm not real good at it, because it's not my priority to be a minimalist. My priority is to raise my family, build this farm, and use it as a tool to teach other people, to meet the needs of other people. Those are my goals, right? Um, am I long faced because I don't have a fifth wheel? Everybody, my neighbor's got a fifth wheel, and I don't have a fifth wheel. I wish I had a fifth wheel. No, I kind of look at it differently. It's like, well, I don't have a fifth wheel, but look at that tree that I got. I can go climb that tree. I'm able to find solace in what I have. That's the good way to put it. Learn to be happy with what you have. Well, how do you do that? This is kind of cool that we're talking about this and that Dave and Sonia are with us. Yesterday, we got to talking about preservation of bread. Oh, by the way, Sonia, the dog got that bread and opened it up and ate it. So I can't even open it up for you guys on camera. So she's really into, her and Dave are really into freeze drying and food preservation and things like. They're not preppers, mind you, but they're just into saving food. We'll just call them, they're food savers. They're not preppers though. And they're inquisitive about living off grid and things like that. And I had a lunch yesterday. You would not believe that it was all, but we'll hear all about it on Thursday. Maybe show you the pictures too. But we were looking at the bread situation, and I was thinking, how do we preserve this when we have a big glut of it so that we can stretch it out and use it later on? And as we were talking about it, throwing it back and forth, came up with some ideas. I mean, really fleshed it out, I guess you'd say. And I got to thinking, I've had that resource here for a long time. And why didn't I think about this before? We wound up coming up with like 3 different avenues to go. And I guess I had thought about them before, but I've just not really executed. And with a little help from my friends to kind of push me, I pushed on and I executed. So that was one of those things where, you have a resource, but you use it just slightly and then overlook it for the next thing. That was definitely what I was doing. I wasn't seeing the full potential of it. And I think that's what I mean by this, by your expectations, setting them too high. You may have an idea in your mind what your homestead should look like. And you may have gotten that from being at somebody else's homestead, mine, Cleric's, whatever. And you say, oh, well, this is how it should look. How am I ever going to get there? I need to make this happen now, or I can't be happy. I hate homesteading because I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. Now, you got to get your fulfillment other places. Okay, let me read this. We just moved. This is Julie Shaw. We just moved to a large piece of property so we could start a homestead. We don't have all the equipment most have, but we are making the best with what we can afford for now. Right on. And if you can be happy doing that, that's the trick. I mean, if you get there and you can be happy because you're just there, right? And then set a goal like, we're going to put a floor in this tent, and then get it done. Hey, now it's even better. Okay, now we're gonna move a travel trailer in. Well, now we're living large. Look at this. We were living in a tent. Now we're in a travel trailer. Hey, this is nice. And then in a few weeks, then maybe you can afford, I don't know, a small Honda generator so you can make tea, and you can do a few things, and really flesh that out to see what all you can do without the other things. Okay, and in that case, that scenario that I just talked to you about, a lot of people will get a piece of property, nice piece of property, and then it's like, "Oh, we got to have electricity in here," and the electricity company says, "Yeah, it's $1,000 a pole, but we can loan you the money." Yeah, we'll just add it to your bill. So then you've got an electric bill that it's like, we can't even afford to do anything else after we pay this electric bill, but we've got electric lights. Well, what good is that if you are hating life? You're hating life in full illumination. You're better loving life. Got a few extra bucks. It's important to have a little extra cash once in a while. If you want to go out and splurge on, literally splurge on a cup of coffee. Yeah, I said it. It's splurge. We did today. We splurged on a cup of coffee, and I don't do it that often. But Jill said, "Hey, come on, I'll buy you a cup of coffee," and she did, and it was really nice. Most of the time I'll be like, "Nah, we got coffee at home. No, don't do that." You go to these drive-in places, $5 for a cup of coffee, and there was three of us, $15. $15 buys a lot of fuel. I just have a hard time with that. But Jill's like, no. And it came to like 13.60, and she said, "Let her have the whole 15." And I'm looking at the poor girl, and I'm thinking, man, she's working here. She doesn't get to go home and cut hay like it. It's my life is an absolute privilege. I love what I get to do during the day, even though some of it does suck. I still love the fact that I get to do this, and I can walk away from what I'm doing, and then I can look into the sky, notice the sky is that nice dark blue again. It wasn't like that for a few years. And the grass is green, and I guess maybe my attitude is really good because I haven't had a phone. Then I got a real good one today. So I made a commitment though. I'm not going to. I'm gonna be the link in the phone because somebody said to me, I think it was Dave. He says, "Well, you can put limits on that phone, so it'll only work for 20 minutes and shut off." No, I'll override them. No, it has to be that human link where I say, "Nope, you're staying in the house," and then I'm cut free from it. I probably should put a chain on it and padlock it to the table in there, and Jill's got the key or something. I'd slap her around until she gave it to me. No, I'm gonna leave it in the house when I'm doing stuff that I need to think, and because there's so much cool stuff to listen to, just so much cool stuff. But anyway, this last one, number 4 that I put here, set your expectations lower, right? Because if you can stop early and sit someplace and watch the sun go down, that's good stuff. That is really good stuff. I used to stay out until midnight, and I would think, well, Jill probably appreciates that I'm out to get this done. And she would much rather have me go to bed at the same time with her. Who wouldn't want me to go to bed with them? That'd kill me. And I never really got that because I was just driven to make this thing work. And I'm telling you, don't do that. Don't, measure it. There's sometimes you're going to work till midnight. Sometimes, your friends come and you just hang around at the kitchen table and don't do nothing. So be metered. Okay, my number 5, I didn't actually write it in, And I think this is a little gratuitous. I don't know if anybody would notice this, but hey, it's all about sales. All about sales, right, Laura? All about sales. Um, Lack of training. If you overlook the opportunity to get trained to do something, if you overlook that and say, "Nah, screw that, I can do it," you're really cutting yourself short, and it's going to take you longer to get where you want to go. When we do a training here, it's more than just how to do whatever it is that we're showing, like pastured poultry. It's way more than that, because you're here and you're able to see other things. And then we always do a walk around and you get to say, what is that? Why did you do that? And what about this? And people wind up staying here until late because they want to know how to do things. And that's the mission, right? That's the mission. So if I get somebody on my ground that wants to stand there and ask me questions, boop, I'm going to take it. I'm getting her done, right? Well done, my good and faithful servant. That's what I'm supposed to be doing at this stage of the game. So get trained, get trained. And then a lot of times I say to you guys, prepare to be the trainer. Have you ever noticed that you really start to understand how something works when you train someone else on it? Like a lot of things that I am pretty good at now, I was kind of going through the motions, like, okay, we do it this way because we do it this way. I'm not really thinking about why we do it this way until somebody says, well, how can you do it that way? And then when I give the explanation, it's like, oh, it's almost like I'm talking to myself. I never asked myself the question. And then when I give the explanation, it's like I get a firmer grip on what I am doing. I used to work at a power plant. And when I first started there was so much going on. It was this huge complex. It covered several acres under roof. And there was buildings and motors and there was conveyor belts, lots of conveyor belts, and then there was a big generator, and then there was steam tubes, and there was a makeup systems and all this power distribution system. And I was a maintenance guy, and I was supposed to understand everything. I really understood the components. Like I knew how to grease a motor, but I didn't really know how that motor fit into everything else, And the guy that I worked for, he was a pretty good guy, even though he's from the Navy. He said to me, "You just relax, just relax. The more you're here, and the more times that you have to fix this and this, you'll see how they fit together, and everything just starts to get really small." And he was right. I started to understand this complex series of or compilation of individual components, how they worked. I actually started to understand them quite well, to where when I got there, a certain smell would be, we've got to, and I wasn't into it. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. I didn't feel like it was my calling or anything. So I left there and I came here. This had gotten to the point where I was not going to be able to do two. I wasn't going to be able to do 8 or 10 hours there. And then because I was working there during daylight hours and I needed the daylight hours here. And the learning curve on this place, for me, it was steep. And I was in a place where people don't exactly, because of industrial agriculture around here, there is a solid dose of don't help your neighbor. There's a solid dose of that. It's intentional. Oh, they wouldn't do that. Oh, really? Remember the 6-foot rule? They wouldn't do that? Of course they'll do that. Of course they'll do that. But we're not here to talk about that. But my number 5 would be training. And, I'm saying that, of course, it's gratuitous because we do training, but YouTube is there. And there's some really good people that truly want to just share what they're doing with you. And, you can watch it. I like to listen to, there's a couple of homesteaders that I actually kind of like to listen to. I've been getting into Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, believe it or not. And long time ago, a friend of mine turned me on to that, and I watched it. And it was the first one I watched was a guy dressed Amish, which, like, this is a dichotomy. He's dressed like an Amish guy, but yet he's not. And that to me was like, well, I don't get that. I don't see the point of that. And then he walked into a pond with his clothes on. And if I had known that he jokes around, he kids around, I probably would have watched another one, but I never did. I just was like, well, I don't need to watch that. That's just foolishness to me. But not too long ago, a couple months ago, I was listening to a homesteader woman. I don't recall who she was. And he came on next, and I had my phone was in my pocket, so I didn't see him. And this guy was going on, and he was. I really liked his philosophy about what he was talking about. Don't recall right now what he was talking about. Nice. I got to see who this guy is. Huh, that's that Amish guy. That's Doug. And so now he comes up on my playlist, and I like to listen to him. It's so there's a lot of really good stuff out there that you can become really good in this career field. And I'll tell you something, when things, especially like Julie, I'm liking what you're saying there. It sounds like you got a good head on your shoulder. When things come down to and they get small, like I was telling you at the power plant, right now on this farm, I got a lot of things going right now, and I'm sitting here, and I don't think that I'm going to have a cow poke its head in the door here. I know that they're secure where I want them. Knock wood. And everybody else is where they're supposed to be. Everybody's fed. Things are the way they're supposed to be. We have it covered. I can do a mental checklist, and it's like, yep, things are good. When you get to that point, then it's like you can branch off into other things like, well, maybe I'd like to be a biochar guy. Maybe I'd like to get into the butchering business. Maybe I'd like to get into the education business. Maybe I'd like to do that. You can grab a bunch of different things and you can focus in on it. And if some of those things you can make a good living on, right? So I don't know if this is good advice or not. I think at first, allow yourself to be diverse, so you can kind of see and always be. I was talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and she was kind of wondering how I was able to pull this together in the face of some of the things that we faced and something along those lines. And I said, well, I'm one of those people that I'm always looking for solutions, no matter what. And I've told you guys this, and I believe this, and I was taught this in the military. Always fortify your position. So what's this mean? This means that maybe you're on a security post and your job is to watch this monitor. If anybody moves around out there, you'll see a light and you'll know it's in that sector. And then you are to watch that sector, see if you can see anything. Maybe that's what you're doing. And nothing's going on. Nothing. And you're by yourself. So should you put your hands in your pockets? No. You should fill some sandbags. It'll keep you warm, or it will cool you off, maybe. and you may be filling the sandbag that catches the bullet that's going to take your head off. So you can always make your position better. Now, there will be times when you're not going to fill sandbags, when you need to be quiet and you need to watch your equipment and you need to watch the tree line or whatever like that. And then you're not going to be filling sandbags. But when things are quiet and you can make things better, you make things better. So, you're sleeping in your cot and you have bedding and you get a little cool that night. Don't let yourself get cold the next night. Fix it. Make sure that you're covered. Get a sleeping bag. And I'm not just saying that. You could apply that to many, many things. Many things. I will share a story with you I've shared before, but I was on a deployment, and this is when I was new in the military. I couldn't have been in like 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. And it was a deployment to Kimhae Air Base. It was in the Republic of Korea, South Korea. And it was a real old time base. And we were there, and it was a deployment. We brought our airplanes down there and all of our guys and all of our stuff, and we were flying off of their base. And the idea of it was to set it up and operate it at minimums. And we did. And my bosses, for where I was working, they didn't provide anything for us to be in on the flight line. So when we needed to take a break or something, there was no place for us to go. We were just out in the open. So we would sit in vehicles, and it was windy and it was cold. And the guy that I worked with, a staff sergeant by the name of Salatin, Chris Salatin, he says, we got to do something. And so we stacked up oil barrels, and then we got a tarp and we put them over it. And then we sandbagged it all down, and we made it so it didn't flap in the breeze. And the barrels were oil. So we actually had a heater in there, and we faced it so the wind didn't blow in, and you could go in there. And once you got in there, there was a light, and there was a table and a few chairs, so you could sit in there, and you could still hear things going on outside. But when you were in there, you were warm, and the wind wasn't hitting you, and you were kind of safe. You felt kind of safe. And the boss of the flying operations, he says, when it's your guys' time to eat, I want you to take 20 minutes uninterrupted, and you eat. And then if you need to, or a half an hour, I think. Yeah, half hour. And so we would go in there, and that's when I grew to really like MREs, because I always felt safe when I was eating them. And that deployment went on for, I think, 60 days. And it was, it was 12-hour shifts. And then you go back to your tent, try to sleep, crummy food, do it again the next day. It's just over and over and over. So anyway, but yeah, creature comforts, very important. Money, finances, keep a handle on that. Make sure you got what you need there: water, natural resources on your homestead. Expectations, keep your expectations low. You don't need a 4-wheel drive dually pickup. You don't. It's not going to make you any money. Look, I'm a farmer now. I'm really farming. And I'm using a Toyota van that used to be our family van. And it's the greatest thing. Oh, it was a little fly. It's the greatest thing. Now, as a farmer, when I go into town, any self-respecting farmer would have at least a 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive pickup. But I don't. And I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. It does not matter. Keep it minimal. You just what you need. And then you have money for real things like I've got money now. I can buy some more calves, which is really was high on my priority list because I'm going to have the hay. I want to add value to the hay, and you add value to the hay by feeding it to cows. So if I sell hay, it's not worth much, but when you run it through cows, it's worth quite a bit. So that's how you add value. And then if I butcher it, I add more value to it. If I turn it into beef jerky, more value, and on it goes. And you can really wring out these processes if you think long and hard about them. Okay, it's 9:10. I don't see any questions. I see the Vindictmeister is here. Inga Brummans is here. Luann Hoffman's here. Luann, I just got my phone, so I haven't looked at any of the stuff that you've sent me. And I know some of it's good stuff. I couldn't connect to the internet on my phone. So I couldn't listen to anything, any of the good stuff. No Janine. Yeah, the Janine holiday. All right. Sean Wise is with us. First time I watched that channel. Same with me the first time I watched that channel. Yeah. But he's a pretty cool guy, actually. I wouldn't mind meeting up with him. Melissa Huck, I am literally listening to you while I make my fermented salsa Stacy taught on last week. Melissa, we need to talk. I saw another farm. It's over on 61. It's at the corner of 61 and 66. It's down 2 miles to the east. I didn't stop. I had my phone, but I couldn't do anything with it. I could just make phone calls. That's it. And get this, I couldn't answer the phone. The phone would ring, and then I'd have to see who it was and then call him back. So the guy today says, I don't know what the story is with this phone. We've never seen this before. Yeah, I haven't listened to Stacy yet. I just haven't. All right, that's it. Right on. All right, send it. All right, so I'm kind of thinking when we go into winter and things slow down a little bit, I am thinking I want to keep the interview night. I think that is invaluable. I really think people need to hear that. All different types of people getting into homesteading, why, and all that stuff. I think that's good. Okay. Just so you guys know what I'm talking about with Melissa Huck here. They came here to a class and stood around for a long time and talked. And we're really asking for answers. And if you ask me for an answer on something, I will tell you. And it may be very difficult, but that's what I will tell you. And I believe that I said to Melissa, get the hell out of the city. Just it's not saying that I know something is going to happen in the city. It's just it's already a mess. Why? And if you have a hole in your heart that only homesteading can fulfill, go for it. Don't wait. Don't say, oh, yeah, I'll do it when I retire. You might be old and decrepit by the time you retire. I guess I am tired. Just do it. So they stepped out in faith and just boom, sold their home. I think Melissa said they put it up for sale and said, if we can get X amount for it, then it's a sign that we should do this. And they got 20 X's more. So then we talked about properties that are around here, and I'm starting to see them all over the place. And I just think that's pretty encouraging. I don't know, the prices on them. All I do is take pictures of the sign and then I forward them. So I would be interested to hear about the property over in Leota that you looked at. How much was there and how much they wanted for it. As I see, it's still for sale, but I just haven't bothered to go on the listing and look. The one that's on 66 and it's on 61. It's really nice. I drove by it and I thought, wow, I should stop and get the picture of that, but I can't take a picture. So I think you can find it. Let's see. It's in Marion. It's in Marion. Okay, Inga's asking, strange question. How many girls do I have? 2. Dos. It was sold, huh? How about that? All right. All right. Well, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. All right. I'm going to sign off. We do have a consultation call tomorrow night for Tribe Plus members. So if you are a Tribe Plus member, you can get on to the Zoom call. There was a problem last week. I was there. I think I did everything right, although I was here by myself. I was unsupervised. And so maybe I did something wrong, but I sat around twiddling my thumbs and it seems like nobody showed up. But now I'm hearing that, oh no, we tried to come, but we couldn't find you or nobody was there. So we will have the consultation call tomorrow night for anybody that's in the tribe. If you have questions, you can come and it's face to face. We got the board. I'll share it with you. Anything that I can that will help you along your way on your homesteading. And really, this falls in line with number 5. This is, there's a saying in the military: if you want to stay alive, you will listen to those who know. Don't listen to people who don't know, because, you know, what do they know? Listen to people who know. And then yeah, I see. I know because I was talking to you at the picnic table yesterday. You were there. This falls right in line with Ralph Waldo Emerson saying that we live by: if you do the thing, you will have the power. When we interview with Dave and Sonia on Thursday night, I don't know if they've agreed to it yet. Jill asked me, and I said, "Yeah, that's a great idea because we could." Oh, and Belva couldn't connect either. All right. Well, okay. We'll try it again tomorrow night. I'm sorry about that. But if you do the thing, you will have the power. If you do the thing, you will have the power. If you don't do the thing, you won't have the power. Like if you don't try to go teaching this and you don't even do it. People will know that in an instant. You want to do it for a while, and then you have the power, right? And as you get yourself trained up, you become more powerful all the time. So here's a tremendous opportunity to sit and face to face with probably the most premier farmer in the United States at this time. Wow. And ask any question you want, and I will give you the answers. Agreed. Yeah, we agreed. Oh, you agreed on Thursday. Or I thought you were agreeing that I was probably the most premier farmer in the United States. What do you got to say about that loan? Agree or disagree? You probably left. All right, then. Okay, good. We're going to be on with Dave and Sonia. Great. We will talk about the things that they are into. And they got a lot of things going, a lot of really interesting things. It's kind of neat because some of the things that they are doing, I'm not doing yet. And some of the things that I'm doing, they're not doing yet. So it's a cross-pollination process. We had a whale of a time yesterday. Oh, okay. Loan's still with us. Just checking, brother. Just checking. Okay, I got to get off. Got to get something to eat, take care of my creature comforts. Remember, anyone can farm. Good night, everybody.